This is crazy, I'm on the right track, I'm finally found. You need some soul searching, the time is now. All I need is one mic.
Okay guys, so in the last 2 videos, I read you guys a letter that I wrote to my Aunt Debbie. Aunt Debbie never answered me, and you know, it hurts, but part of me can understand why. I was pretty harsh in that letter, but the things that I said, a lot of it needed to be said. So I'm going to tell you guys now what happened after I sent that letter. So I sent that letter to my aunt, and then on the 20th was when my brother went to my attorney's office and finally just signed the check, and we got our partial disbursement. And I just want to add to this with Aunt Debbie. I think that my Aunt Debbie, you're a piece of shit. I just want to let you know. My Aunt Debbie never wrote back to me after that letter. She never even replied to it. And sometimes silence just speaks more volumes than words speak. Because to me, her silence was like her guilt, basically. I gotta be honest with you guys. I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt. And in my head, I really wanted to believe that she was being misled by Satan, but I finally got to the point in time where I realized that that wasn't the case at all. My Aunt Debbie was an accomplice, basically, okay? She was part of this whole thing with Satan, and really think of how fucked up this is. My aunts know how devastated my mom was over my brother and I not speaking for the last 3 years. They heard the recordings, they spoke to my mom, especially Aunt Debbie, listened to my mom cry on the phone every morning before work for like fucking 2 years straight. My Aunt Debbie and I had a lot of discussions about this whole thing, you know, with my brother and Satan, and how it's affecting my mom, and how my mom's, you know, not acting herself, and how she needs to move on, and how she needs to accept it. And they were so well aware of what was going on. My mom had told me that me and my brother not speaking to one another hurt her worse than my dad's death. That's really profound. Like, that's so deep. Think of how hurtful that is. My mom did not raise us to not speak to one another or to not be able to resolve problems. And in fact, I just wanted you guys to hear in her own words my mom saying this.
Listen to me. I am not saying I brought you up to resolve your problems together. Okay. Not to never talk to each other, to resolve your problems.
Why? You hear the sadness in her voice and how upset she is over that, and hearing that again just kills me. It kills me. My mom was so deeply hurt about this. And the fact that her sisters knew this and knew how much it hurt her in life, and still had the audacity to further drive the wedge in between me and my brother, I don't get it. They were making things worse. These people don't know what unconditional love is. They really don't. They act like they do, but they don't. Again, my mom's feelings still mattered to me, and I felt like nobody else cared about how my mom would feel. My Aunt Debbie, like, she was willing to go to court and testify against her favorite sister's daughter, her goddaughter. For what? Over a ring? Over some jewelry? Like, I don't know. My Aunt Debbie is just one of those people that if you cross her, she is intent on destroying you. This woman lied to people about me, made up stories about me, and then tried to rally other family members against me. I just can't even wrap my mind around who the fuck does that. It's so disappointing. You cannot sit here and say that you care about my mom and then do what you're doing. And I looked up to these people my whole entire life. I loved my family. I absolutely adored my aunts my whole entire life. You know, I always felt like I went out of my way to try to make these people happy. And they just like completely shit on me. And I just cannot wrap my mind around it. And then the other people in my family, like, the level of disappointment I feel in my family it's just unbelievable. And I know that there's other people in my family who think that what they've done to me is completely wrong, but they don't voice it. And that sucks for me. Nobody had my fucking back. Nobody in my family besides my cousin Nico had my back at all. I literally fought this fucking whole entire thing alone. And it's just like, it's so disappointing because I know that there's people that didn't agree with them, but like, it's like this, it's this sickness that they don't want to stand up to Aunt Betty and Uncle Bob and Aunt Debbie, you know? Like, I just can't understand it. It's easier for them to all just not talk to me and not get involved than it is to stand up for me. I made the choice for everybody. I just cut myself out. So, you know, I can't completely fault everyone for me going through this completely alone and with no support from my family, because I did cut out people who kind of just became collateral damage, like some of my cousins. Like, how do I talk to you when I fucking hate your mother? How do I talk to my cousin Kristen and hate her mother? Like, how do I do that? It just doesn't, I can't. I would never want to put somebody in a position. In my eyes, dude, like if it was my mother, I would have my mom's back no matter what. My mom always had my back 100%, no matter what. And I had her back 100%. And so I would not expect my cousin Kristen to ever take my side over her mother's side. So I just stopped talking to her. The lack of response that I got said everything to me. She didn't need to reply, because her not replying said everything I needed to know. Why are you so fucking scared to face me? If I'm lying, why don't you prove me wrong? You had an opportunity. My uncle approached my aunts a couple months ago after he started watching my videos. One of my uncles had written a whole group message to the whole entire family. And it was just amazing. It was like, dude, these people haven't changed. They haven't grown. Nothing has changed. He presented them an opportunity to explain themselves, refute what Leanna's saying. And here's what they had to say.
Okay, I really wasn't going to even read these things, but I feel like in order to show how these people are and how manipulative they are, how toxic they are, how defensive they are, I have to. So my mom's oldest brother wrote a message to everybody. This was back in April of this year, okay? So he writes, about a month ago, a message was sent to me with regards to videos that Leanna was posting, quote, trashing the family. This was the first that I was made aware of such videos. There was a link to a video, and I followed the link and found that there were not one video, but 43 such videos made by Leanna. The first of the videos, titled When Evil Enters, started with a very raw Leanna, and the 43rd video ends with a somewhat more sophisticated Leanna. Leanna is telling her story of what our sister Carol and she, her daughter, went through during the last months of our sister's life. As we watched, we laughed, cried, wondered, reflected, and were bewildered. I am not an emotional person, but there were some very heartfelt moments that brought tears to my eyes. I don't remember who accused Leanna of trashing the family, but after watching all 43 videos, 30 in a row, which took 6 hours, that Leanna was not exactly, quote, trashing, but telling her side of what our sister went through. Very compelling, to say the least, especially video number 43. I'm left to wonder if anything said in these videos can be refuted by anyone alluded to in Leanna's story. If so, start here. So he sends over a copy of, I had just started the second series, When Grief Enters Your Life. And so he writes, now there is a new series which is labeled When Grief Enters. I just watched part 1 and I will watch all of this series. And he sends a link. May our sister rest in peace. Amen. So my mom's younger brother writes, I'll just keep my opinions to myself. Thank you. So my mom's older brother writes back and he says, united we stand, divided we fall. So my Aunt Dana chimes in and she says, I never watched any of them. I tried to stay out of the mix, mostly because I have enough on my plate. Unfortunately, when Carol was the sickest, my husband had a stroke, was in intensive care. When he got out, I had a battle with him to seek the proper care. Maybe someday when my anxiety levels go down, I'll check them out. And I don't even know why she added all that, because nobody was accusing her of anything. But this is what my mom's family unfortunately does. So here's Aunt Debbie. United we stood, divided we fell. So my Uncle Nick, responding to my Aunt Dana, says, I was aware of your situation. So he writes to my Aunt Debbie, Deb, we fell? Who is we? So my mom's younger brother comes back in and he says, I love each and every one of my family, including Carol's children. Opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one. My opinion has made me lose my own children. It's better for me to keep my feet out of my mouth. So my mom's older brother came back and he says, I am asking myself what life situation I would be in that would compel me to produce numerous videos. And then he says, it would have to be as horrible as what Carol and Leanna went through is the only answer. So here comes Aunt Betty with her over dramatic bullshit. So she writes, hold up. I cannot believe what I am reading. And then she says my mom's older brother's name. You didn't hear any of the insults or trashing of her brother, his wife, myself, Bob, Debbie, and cousin Lenore. What videos are you watching? She changed the name so we wouldn't go after her for deformation of character. You fucking idiot. It's defamation of character. Deformation is like when you're born with a third eye or a tail or something like that, Aunt Betty. Dumbass. Here comes this is the typical gaslighting you could expect from my family. You know your sisters. You know the relationship we had with Carol. She is totally trashing our character. Aunt Betty didn't realize that my mom, did talk to other family members about her. I guess. I don't know. She is totally trashing our character. Do you think her remarks are true? I'm at lunch, going back to work, and cannot talk about this now. Second thought, I think I'm going in the bathroom to throw up. Up floored. I don't know what that means. I think she meant to write, I'm floored. So my mom's oldest brother comes back and speaking to the younger brother, he says, the videos did not make me love anyone less or more. They just made me sad and remorseful of our sister's plight in life. They gave me a verbose perspective of what Carol and Leanna went through in the last days of our sister's life from Leanna's point of view. Since it seems that Leanna was the one that was with Carol every inch of the way, sacrificing the most of any of us, I wanted to hear her story. My mom's younger brother writes back, I understand how they made you feel. That's okay with me, but they made others feel differently. I choose not to voice my opinion on this matter. Why do you keep telling us that, though? You already said it 10 times. He writes back to my mom's youngest brother, I got it. It'll be the difference of wondering what your opinion is and knowing what your opinion is. So Aunt Debbie answers in the way that only Aunt Debbie knows how to. All I could say is really quick, I won't be keeping my opinions to myself. I saw a handful of her videos. Bullshit. You watched all of them. You know you did. And chose not to watch the rest because this is coming from a, ready? Mentally disturbed person, and the people that are supporting her should get her help instead of giving opinions on her videos. This is so typical of Aunt Debbie. This is projection, gaslighting. I'm mentally disturbed. I'm mentally disturbed for what? Telling the truth? Okay. She did nothing but embarrass her mother's memory and me in our workplace. This is such bullshit. Once upon a time, Carol and I bragged about her makeupmobster videos and told people to join from our place of business. Now everyone is watching them and come to me on a weekly basis asking me if anyone is getting her help. Bullshit, Aunt Debbie. Bullshit. First of all, I highly doubt everybody in your whole entire workplace and my mom's workplace, because they didn't work together. They actually worked in 2 separate buildings. I doubt that every single person is watching these videos. And I also highly doubt that people would have the balls to come up to you and ask if you're getting me help, because clearly we're not speaking to one another. She just makes this shit up, and it's just so ridiculous. She's such a liar. She exaggerates. There might be like one person, but she exaggerates. She is using this forum to embarrass our entire family. How is this embarrassing the entire family? I don't understand. Please ask your wife how she would feel if every single person she worked with was exposed to these videos. So she writes, ready for this? This is disgusting. Stephen knows exactly what he was to his mother. He has no regrets. Wow, really? He has no regrets. Okay. Except for the fact that he wishes he and his family had more time with Carol, but was held away by his mentally disturbed sister. Really? Aunt Debbie, maybe you should go back and listen to the recordings of my brother's wife screaming at my mom. You know all the stories about the times that my brother was going to come over and then he called my mom and changed his mind. Like, give me a fucking break. She's such a liar. Unbelievable. Ready? This is great. This is the best. This is my favorite part. She had a tracker on Carol's phone. We finally figured that out. Oh, really, Sherlock? You figured that out? Why would I put a tracker on my mom's phone? That doesn't even make any sense. It's so ridiculous. I had a tracker on her phone. Yeah, the tracker was called my mom because my mom called me and told me where she was going all the time. Like, this is the level of depravity right here. I had a tracker on her phone. So, ready? And then she continues to lie. Carol couldn't understand why every time she went to visit Steven's house, she blew up her phone with 15 calls until Carol finally got upset and left. Dude, first of all, I don't even think my mom went to their house a total of like, I don't know, 3 times. And the one time, yeah, I called her because I had just gotten off the phone with her doctor. And yeah, I blew her phone up because her doctor told me that she might be having a pulmonary embolism. Other than that, I would not call her when she was at my brother's house because, like, I didn't want anything to do with that. But of course, you know, Aunt Debbie is going to lie and make things seem dramatic. There's no way that Steven could have a relationship with his mother. Now, mind you guys, I guess Aunt Debbie thought she was the only person my mom spoke to. My mom told everybody in her family what was going on, like told them every single thing that happened. So she's lying to everybody right to their faces, and it's sick. It really is. Like, they know it wasn't me holding my brother from having a relationship with his mother, but she's going to flip it and project and gaslight because that's what she does. So she writes, the creepy neighbor across the street used to give Leanna the heads up that Steven and Satan were there, and Leanna would show up and start a fight because she didn't want Satan there. That happened one time. On December 17th. That was the only time that happened. But yeah, she used to give me a heads up when they were there. Sure. She was looking out for me because she's my friend. And because, you know, it was weird that my brother was there because he never went to my mom's house when she was alive. I know all this because I lived it with Carol. And guess what, Aunt Debbie? Everybody else lived it with my mom too. And so you look like a fucking lunatic right now. I spoke to her every morning and every night on the way home. That right there is a lie because, yes, Aunt Debbie spoke to my mom every morning, but she did not speak to her every day on the way home because I spoke to her every day on the way home. Aunt Debbie left work about an hour or so later than my mom did, so she did not talk to my mom on the way home. Someone came to me one day and asked me if our dad was an alcoholic. That was in one of her videos. Our life story is not her story to tell. Really? Did somebody really come up to you and go, oh my God, was your dad an alcoholic? Bullshit. She's such a liar. I received multiple calls from our cousins asking what was wrong with her. And you mean to tell me you watched all these videos and you don't see anything wrong with them? When you said we watched her videos, I highly doubt you meant your wife. She has more class than that to get involved in this mess of lies. Ready? Here we go. Here comes the projection, folks. Watch out. Leanna is a manipulator, attention seeker, and narcissist liar. I pray for the sake of Chris and Jesse that she gets help. You don't give a shit about my husband or my son because you haven't fucking even asked how they were doing. Ready? Here we go with the dramatics. Rest in peace, my dear sister. Please remember that we lost a sister, and I also lost a friend and a work companion. Yeah, you lost a work companion that my mom used to be like, oh, Aunt Debbie never goes to lunch with me anymore. You didn't even give a shit that she worked with you. You guys didn't even see each other at work. Here we go. This is always the manipulation tool. This is the main manipulation tool. Ready? Tell Leanna to remember when she visits or kisses her Nana to let her know how she trashed her entire family. Like, I don't even understand why my Nana has to be brought into this at all. And hopefully she doesn't run into me one day. I don't hide behind a computer. Well, Aunt Debbie, the clock is ticking because I still haven't seen you. And when I do see you, what are you going to do? Beat me up? Go ahead. Try it. I'll knock you over like a bowling pin, bitch. Keep in mind, folks, that this is a 3-year-old woman. Like, she's threatening me. She's threatening harm on me. Well, what are you going to do to me? Seriously, you going to stab me, punch me, yell at me? Like, what are you going to do? I can't even believe she put that in there. That just goes to show how sick she really is. Anyway, so my uncle writes back and he says, When I said we watch the videos, yes, I meant my wife and I. My wife is of the same opinion as you, in as she doesn't think that Carol would have wanted this to be her legacy. What's done is done. As far as our life stories is not her story to tell, that's one way of looking at it. But the other side of the coin is that the story Leanna is telling is her life story, not our life story. Fortunately and unfortunately for some, they were swept up in the story. What's true and what's false is left to inference of evidence. And he writes in parentheses, actions taken that can be defended, and solid evidence. And then he writes again in parentheses, factual evidence where records, emails, recordings, copies of text messages, etc., actions which cannot be defended even in a court of law. The videos are full of both types of evidence of wrongdoings. I am not defending, judging, or labeling anyone. I am just interested in learning what the facts are. So basically, my uncle's telling her that all this stuff that she's writing, he just wants to know, like, is anything that I said untrue? And she still hasn't really addressed that. All she's done is deflect and gaslight. That's all she's done. So she writes, are you saying Leanna has email, recorded videos, and phone proving her allegations? So my uncle writes back, Deb, yep. Emails, texts, recordings of Carol saying things, and more. All shown in the various videos or links to whatever Leanna claims. So she writes, also, why is it that you and your wife listened to her story and when you didn't want to listen to ours? And then she writes back, okay, that's great. You just confirmed her mental state. Tell her to get a job. It's over. What's the matter, Aunt Debbie? Are you jealous that I'm able to stay home with my son and raise my son and you had to work your whole life? Are you jealous? Oh, get me a copy of the video of me taking from Carol's outside property that she accused of stealing. She's so angry. She can't even write properly. I can't wait to see that one. Carol is gone. Her brother is gone. And I couldn't care less what she writes or says. Really? Seems like you care. She recorded her mother when she was drugged up and on her deathbed. That right there should say what type of person she is. I didn't record my mom. I recorded a meeting that we had, you fucking asshole. Don't forget to send my replies to her so she can add another chapter to her book. She definitely wouldn't want me to write one. You can't even write like a paragraph. You think you're going to write a book? And then here we go. Let's, throw my grandmother back in there for no reason. Thank God mommy is not in her right mind. I wonder what these assholes are going to do when my grandmother passes away. Because that's what they use to manipulate everybody's feelings. So I don't know what they're going to do. It's going to be interesting. So my uncle writes back, when you say ours, it sounds to me like you were part of a team or something. The words we, ours, they have different connotations to me. We, my wife and I, listen to all stories, but we try to avoid the human nature of taking sides and to remain neutral until all the facts revealed. I try not to jump to conclusions unless I was there and hear and see something, or unless I learned something from a reliable source like my wife. One of the things I learned is that there were two people sitting with my wife next to our dying sister's bed in the hospital, and that one of those people in a conversation turned to the other and said, Leanna is dead to me. This is what our sister heard. That's a fact. Right then and there, that person wrote Leanna off in the presence of her mother. This was just the start of the rest of the story. My wife walked out of the room and was very upset. So here we go with Aunt Debbie. Yes, a friend told me last night that Leanna mentioned in her video number 42 that she threw her cousin Nico and your wife under the bus. And she cannot even admit that she's watching the videos. Like, a friend told you that? A friend came up to you and said, hey, Deb, you know what? In video number 42, Leanna threw Nico and her mother under the bus. I just wanted to let you know because, that's what people talk about. She cannot even take responsibility for watching the friggin' videos herself. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. Here we go. This is unbelievable. Don't blame Bob. That was after Leanna continuously disrespected us when visiting Carol with her temper tantrums and her uncalled for remarks. I left the room every single time they came, and I knew that they were going to twist it somehow. And I didn't do so in a temper tantrum. I just would say, hey, Mom, I'm going downstairs to smoke a cigarette or get something to eat. It's just lies. It's disgusting. It's unbelievable the things she did to us right in front of her dying mother. I also witnessed the disrespectfulness when Leanna put her hand in her uncle's face as he went to kiss her goodbye. She said, later for you, you're fucked in the head. I just have to say here, I had heard this before. This wasn't the first time I heard that I did this, but the first time I heard it, it was when he went to say hi to me. Now it's when he went to say goodbye. This is complete and utter bullshit. It never happened. And she's completely just manufacturing these scenarios now. It's just insanity. That was way before he made that comment. It takes a lot to piss him off. Oh, so he's justified in talking shit about me in front of my mom on her deathbed. That justified it. It takes a lot to piss him off. Betty and Bob were always there for Carol. All right, so here we go again. She's going to put the guilt trip on. Did she forget how our sister got 25 more years of her life? Bob was ready to give his own kidney when her own father refused. If Bob didn't match. Why do you have to now insult my father on top of everything? Like, to my mom's oldest brother, you just don't know what she put our sister through. I'll keep it to myself. Yeah, you'll keep it to yourself because I didn't put my mom through anything. You're full of shit. So she says, well, for the record, she's dead to me too. You have no idea what you are defending. Be careful. You'll be in her next video. You are hearing one-sided stories. It all boils down to us talking to Steven when Carol was sick. She never answered our calls or texts when trying to get info on Carol. They did not call me or text me to get information on Carol. This, again, is complete and utter bullshit because when my mom was in the hospital previous to the last time, I had group messages and I would update everybody. Nobody ever called me or asked me for any type of information. If they did, I always answered. These people were on the messages too, so they know that she's lying here. Our family is a big disappointment. Shame on anyone that believes anything she has to say. Don't forget, we were around for when most of you weren't. We lived it. You're watching a fake version of the movie. More gaslighting. It's fake, right, Aunt Debbie? How come I have evidence to back it all up? Yeah, it's fake. That she sends this picture, right? And she just disproves what she said, because this was a picture from the day that my mom got her surgery. And I wrote, these 4 people, thank you God for them. They are always there when I need them. They can't always be counted on. Aunt Debbie, Aunt Betty, thank you for getting up early with me. And Uncle Blank and Aunt Dana, thank you for taking your time out of your day and coming here. I love you guys all. I'm so lucky. My mom is okay and recovering well. So happy this is over. Aunt Debbie didn't realize this at the time, but when she sent this, she simultaneously proved that she's still stalking me because she has me blocked on Facebook. So how did you go on my Facebook account and take a screenshot of this picture? All the fighting started after this. So she writes, this is fake too. No, it wasn't fake. At the time, I felt like that. And then reality hit me. So my Aunt Betty writes back, you know what? Screw anyone who is going to sit here and condemn Bob for what was heard. He has been part of this family since he was 17 years old. What does that have to do with anything? My family is his family, and he has always gone above and beyond for each and every one of us. I don't appreciate the treatment Leanna gave Bob while Carol was sick, just because he was talking to Steven. Well, you guys were lying to my brother and telling him that I was trying to get him taken off the will. So yeah, I wasn't too happy with you guys. I should notate here that there was no treatment of him. I just didn't talk to him because the first time he came up to the hospital, I went to say hi to him and he looked right through me and didn't even say hi to me. So from then on, I just kind of avoided him. There was no treatment. Steven was losing his mom too. Every time we walked in the room, she walked out. So now she just completely negated what my Aunt Debbie said. She filled her mom's head with negativity about us. No, I didn't. Or anybody else that sat and consoled Steven. Yes, she was there a lot, but that doesn't give her a license to badmouth her brother any more than it would give me to do the same to mine. She is paranoid. Everybody is a threat to her, and she made her feelings known. I by no means think that what your wife heard was the right thing to say. I was in earshot and picked up on it too, but it's an exaggeration to say that Carol heard that. Wow. So you're going to defend it. Okay. The thought of her hearing mortified me, but it was mumbled, not shouted out, as she was not aware of anyone talking to her unless they were right in her face. It was said in anger and defense of the treatment of Steven was getting along with the rest of us. Bob loved Carol like a sister. Really? He loved her when he unfriended her on Facebook? Okay. He would jump through hoops and always thought of helping to bring some happiness to her. Give me a fucking break. He didn't jump through any hoops. Painting her office at her home, putting up her canopy. All she had to do was say the word and he would be there for her. But do I really need to defend Bob, myself, Debbie, or cousin Lenore? What can you say bad about my cousin? The thing that bothers me, my mom's oldest brother, is that you know us far longer than Leanna. What does that have to do with anything? Do you see us as she is portraying us in her videos? Any of us? You know what? The evil person here is Leanna. She is picking apart people who were there for Carol and who loved her. My poor sister didn't leave us in peace. That's so funny because I have a text message from Aunt Betty that says the exact opposite that she wrote to me the day after my mom passed away. So which one is it? And I just want to show you guys how full of shit this woman is, okay? So she wrote to me November 20th, not the day after, it was the day of that my mom passed away. And her text come out of order for some reason. I don't know why. So she writes, Leanna, I am so sorry. Purple heart. At the same time, I was glad to know that you were with your mom during her final hours. I know she felt true comfort in you being there, and I prayed for her to leave us peacefully with you by her side. She told us all how good you made her feel. God bless you, Purple Heart. This woman is full of shit. Leanna was giving her opinion of us all while she struggled to live. No peaceful vibes, all negative. I will never forgive her for that. And I just want to say something. I did not, I repeat, I did not talk about these people to my mom. Did my mom bring them up? Yes. My mom would ask me if they called, and what was I going to do? Lie to her and be like, yeah, mom, they called me? No, I would say no. But I wasn't even talking about them, which is so funny because my mom's in the hospital dying. Like, talking about you fucking assholes is the last thing I want to do. Okay, so you see where it says see updates. Well, if you looked at that, you would see that one by one, people were just like bouncing. They were leaving this chat. So my Aunt Debbie then writes, okay, now that Stephen, Satan, Betty, my mom's younger brother, Dana, and Lenore left this chat, I'm curious to know, as the patriarch of the family, what were you aiming to accomplish? My uncle never answered, right? So she writes, just remember, and she says his name, I follow this rule. And then she sends this picture that says, stay away from people who talk bad daily. These kinds of people carry a negative spirit. The problem is that they are not happy with themselves. So then she continues on one more time without my uncle answering, and she writes, and please do not insinuate that Stephen was not there for his mom as well as Leanna was. Your siblings understand why you can't always be there for our mom. You wouldn't want anyone bashing, nor do we. We love you. And there we go with the, we love you manipulation. First of all, my mom's oldest brother lives 2 hours away. My grandmother lives in the same town as two of her daughters, and then one of her daughters lives like 5 minutes away, and her son lives her other son lives about 10 minutes away from her. So yeah, I mean, that's totally different than somebody just who could be there just chooses not to be. It's unbelievable. So everybody left the conversation, and that was it. And, again, silence speaks volumes here, because it was just like, my uncle asked you to refute what was in the videos, and this is what you did. So just to show you guys, that is what these people do. And, nothing has changed in their lives. They haven't grown. They don't take any type of responsibility for anything. And, all the blame is on me. I'm evil. I'm, mentally disturbed. This is what toxic gaslighters do, period. So Aunt Betty and Aunt Debbie just continued on this smear campaign against me. Instead of proving me wrong, that's how they handled things. They just continued to smear me. I always tried to keep in mind that they were grieving too. It's my mother. This is the woman who brought me into this world, who taught me everything I know about everything in life. She was the person whose shoulder I cried on. She was the person who I went to first for everything, well into my adulthood. Still, if they would have watched my grandmother sad and depressed and down and angry, the way my mom had changed and just started to like withdraw from things, and she was negative all the time, like they knew what she went through, and just having to watch her go through that for 3 years, knowing that it was my brother's fault, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a little hard for me to let that go. It is. I think I have a right to feel the way I feel. They ruined the last 3 years of my mother's life. This person literally ruined the last 3 years of my mother's life. And then had the balls to blame her for it. And they know that. And it just blows my mind that they could even support anything that my brother does. It just blows my fucking mind.